Hey family, welcome back to yet another episode of Oh to Be Whole with Camille Young. Yep, that is me. Glad to have you here with me. Y'all, it is burning up hot in the city of Memphis. Oh my goodness, I think we've had upwards of 100 degrees, guys. I think the heat indexes have been up to like 108 or whatever, but thank God most of us have what we need to stay cool, and I hope you're staying hydrated. You may even hear my air conditioned unit come on ever so often because it's constantly coming on and off trying to keep the house cool. But so glad you've joined me on today. Hey, to my holy rollers, how are you, holy rollers? Love you guys. To my new viewers, and if this is your first, second, or third time viewing and you have not yet subscribed, be sure to subscribe to the channel, okay? Go ahead and hit that little red button and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to get your book at ohtobehold.com. Get your book. It has been a blessing to so many, and it can be a blessing to you as well. So go ahead and grab that book. Also, if you need some wellness coaching, I call it lifestyle wellness coaching, reach out to me, okay? Reach out to me at ohtobehold.com or at ohtobehold@gmail.com. All right, so let's dive into today's topic. Today's topic is the longer you stay, the harder it is to leave. The longer you stay, the harder it is to leave. I've been using and saying this for years now. I've even referenced that in my book. For those of you who have read it, you know that I talk about the longer you stay in a relationship, the harder it is to leave the relationship. And I wanted to talk about this because when you are talking to other people or just, observing people, hearing different things, even on celebrity relationships, all of that type of stuff. And you just begin to think, and even as I've, examined my own life, the longer you stay in something, the harder it is to leave. Even when you think about a job, and I'm going to come back to the relationship because that's really what we're going to talk about, but just wanting to paint the full picture of any time you spent extensive time in anything, and you become accustomed to it. You may not even like it that much, or you may be ready to leave a job or whatever, but because you are used to that has become your daily routine, something, as I said before, you become accustomed to doing, how to do it. There's nothing new, nothing, going on to make you want to change. You've become comfortable. It's not so uncomfortable, but that you feel like you necessarily need to leave, but it's uncomfortable enough to know that you're not happy, okay? That you're not feeling inspired anymore. You're not excited. The excitement is gone. And in some situations, it really is unhealthy. Okay. Some situations. So as I bring this back to relationships, I found that people find themselves in long relationships, whether it's in a dating relationship or whether it's in a marital relationship. You find yourself staying in relationships much longer because as years go by, as time goes by, it just gets harder to leave. Because I feel, this is just me talking, and I'm not talking about people, you need to leave your relationship just because something goes awry or something is not happening the way or in the time that you wanted. I'm talking, and anytime I'm talking on Oh to Be Whole, I'm speaking on unhealthy things, okay? Because I am definitely a promoter of relationships. I believe in marriages. I believe in people sticking and staying. However, with that, I believe in doing that in a healthy manner, okay? I don't believe in staying in long-term relationships for the sake of, hey, because I've been in this relationship for so long, whatever the case, your situation may be, you can't find anybody else, or I've gotten too old, or we have children together, or we built this thing together. I don't want to start over. All of those types of things happen or are said the longer you stay in a relationship, okay, in an unhealthy relationship. And as I said, I talk about it in the book, but when you think about it, really what you are doing when you decide to stay in an unhealthy relationship is that you are adapting to, enabling, and justifying dysfunction. That's what you're doing. You're justifying dysfunction. And again, I'm not talking about just because you may argue from time to time. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about an unhealthy relationship. And most people know when they're in an unhealthy relationship. But if you're not clear on what an unhealthy relationship is, let me just share a few things that will let you know that you're in an unhealthy relationship. When you dread going home, okay? When you dread going home, when there is ineffective communication. I'm not saying that there aren't times where you may not have communication issues, but when there is an ongoing process of ineffective communication, when someone is abusive, whether it's verbally abusive, physically abusive, whether they are neglecting you, and I did a video about that, where people don't talk about neglect in relationships, where they know to do something different, but they opt not to. And yeah, they may not be verbally abusing you, they may not be physically abusing you, but they are neglecting to do the things that they know could bring you joy. They're not living out what your love language is, how you desire to be loved. They're neglecting you in that way. Okay, those are some ways to let you know that you are in an unhealthy relationship. When you are, as I talked about even last week, when you are enabling bad behavior, such as terrible or poor spending habits that's causing you all to be in a financial stress or a financial crisis, when you are enabling an addiction, okay? When you're enabling an addiction, and I just feel like that's why, for me, and this is just for me, and I hope some of you who are not married, if you're single at this time and you're going through the dating process, after about 6 months to a year, if I see that it's not going down the right road, I start to remove myself, because after a while, certain behaviors begin to show up. And when those behaviors begin to show up, and after a year, if it has not changed, or you all have not figured out a way to figure it out, it's time to remove yourself. Okay, it's time to move on. And you may not want to. Some people may feel that's too early, but at this age and stage in my life, I don't have a lot of time to waste on someone who doesn't want to change. And I hope you feel the same way. And I've just seen too many times where people have given people chances. You give them a year and they hadn't changed, and then you're like, well, we're gonna try it again. 2 years, and before you know it, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15, 20 years have passed, and you still are unhappy about what was going on in the first 6 months to a year of the relationship. And let's just be real, that is happening. That is happening. And I just want to encourage you, don't let the length of time that you've been in a relationship cause you to remain there. Okay? You have options, you have choices. Yeah, nobody wants to start over. Of course not. And it doesn't make the person a bad person, or it doesn't make you a bad person because you're choosing yourself, or you're choosing not to relegate yourself to certain behaviors that you don't want. Okay? So don't allow yourself to stay in a relationship for the sake of time alone, because really, if you think about it, you're losing time. You're losing time. Young people are dying and getting sick, or living a life of regret because you spent so much time focusing on a person who really you knew was not going to change, or maybe you didn't know that they weren't going to change, but you felt in your heart things are just not, it's not panning out. It's not coming together like I want. But you want to keep giving it a chance, giving it a chance. And before you know it, all these years have passed and nothing has changed, or very little has changed, or in most instances, it has gotten worse, okay? And I think about my previous relationship, more specifically around my engagement, the gentleman I was engaged to. I knew it was unhealthy. I knew that was not the one for me. He wasn't a bad guy. He just wasn't the guy for me. But I allowed years to go by trying to make something work that I knew wasn't going to work. And I just want to encourage you, don't find yourself staying in a relationship because of time. I'm a proponent of the quicker you can figure things out and get away, the less time you waste on that, and the less investment you're making in with your heart, with your emotions, with your finances, with all those things. Yeah, it may hurt, but it'll hurt a lot less getting out at a year versus getting out at 5 or 10 years. Okay? It'll hurt a lot less at a year. So, again, I just want to push you to think about and evaluate and think through those relationships that you are in, and really ask yourself, am I staying because I don't want to start over, or because we've made a big investment, or we got kids, or, all of that? Y'all, you can make that as an excuse, but, when I think about my health, and when I think about the time that I have wasted on things that didn't matter, I'm like, man, I really could have been using that time with someone else, or just investing in me a little more, and a lot of times we don't want to admit it, but we don't want to be by ourselves, okay? Or we don't want to be seen as failures because we end up either by ourselves because we never get married, or we haven't gotten married yet, or because we've been married and we end in divorce. A lot of people see that as a failure, but you only see that as to me, it's a failure to remain in something unhealthy, and knowing that it's not going to get any better. All right. That's me. And maybe because I've never been married or whatever, and I'm single or whatever, but name it however you want. But at the end of the day, y'all, my happiness and my joy factor is so vitally important to me. I don't know about you. I can't live in discord. I can't live in, ambiguity. I can't live in, what ifs and all this, and sadness and depression, and I can't live like that. And I don't see how you can. And I hope that you won't, how can, if you cannot find joy thinking, or you can't think that you can find joy through another person. And if you're finding joy through another person, that's awesome. But if the person that you have attached yourself to does not bring you joy, and I'm not talking about you not going to have hard times, because somebody's going to try to misconstrue what I'm saying. No, your relationships do go through times and moments. But if it is a constant thing, why would you want to stay there anyway? Why? Why would you want to stay there anyway? All right. And again, you have to make your own decisions, because just like you, I'm going to do what I want to do, and you're going to do what you want to do. Okay. But at the end of the day, the longer you stay, the harder it is to leave. So if you see something early on, get on out of there. Just get on out of there and count your losses and move on, because it's not going to get better. Okay. And if you continue to make excuses and try to justify, and as I said, enable bad behavior, you're wasting time. You really are wasting time. So I just want to challenge you with that today. Don't get stuck because you've invested time, okay? Because the longer you stay, the harder it is to leave, okay? And that's all I got for today, guys. That's all I got. All right, thank you for joining me for another episode of O to Behold. Be sure to subscribe, like, share, and comment. All right, and if you need to reach out to me at otobehold.com. Get your book today at otobehold.com. All right, and if you need some holistic wellness coaching, please reach out to me at otobehold.com or at otobehold@gmail.com. Thank you so much for joining me, and until next time, God bless.